G'day everyone, Paul Stone, CEO, Beginner Scott, joined today by Julie Taylor, Salesperson of the Month for October. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, we've just been interviewing with Ed and we're talking about being ready for the market when the property goes to market. So, and we were discussing off camera a live experience of that. So I think we'll give the guys a bit of a window into how you guys are setting them up, and then how you're explaining to your vendors how to be ready for early offers, and then there may be a Zoom or there may be whatever. And so maybe a couple of live examples, if you don't mind, Jules, on what it's like for your properties going to market.
Well, very much the same as probably Ed just touched on. It's really making sure, for example, I've got another property starting up tomorrow. On Saturday, make sure that we've got the building inspection done. We make sure that we've got contracts. If we haven't, they're only a matter of days away. Having good dialogue with your vendor in advance, especially around this time of year. Around this time of year, the good buyers that are out there are motivated, as are the vendors. So you want to make sure the more, I won't say educated, but the more you walk you through your clients before you go to market, the better they'll receive any adjustments, any different strategies you want to take throughout the campaign. So that probably leads me to, we were just discussing about, I'd have to say this year, probably I've had the least amount of properties go through to auction than I've ever had.
It's really interesting.
Ever. And I was always the one before COVID, especially must go through to auction. Just in the last 2 weeks, had 2 Zoom auctions. Now, why did we do that? Because one property was going to go to auction this coming weekend. The one I did last night was going to go to auction next week. The reason is that your buyers are motivated, they're positioned, they're ready. Your vendor my vendors are all in position for different strategies, like I said, in scenarios we're going to do throughout the campaign. So when you get that offer, or certainly keep that dialogue open with the buyers, use that offer as a benchmark of how best can you move forward and get more money for your client, because that's what it's all about.
Sure.
In my case, I am very, very comfortable. I like the full transparency. I like portraying that to the buyers, to the vendor, to make sure that they know that they've got the most from the market. By doing so, I found the Zoom auctions work an absolute treat. Couple of things though, guys. You've got to make sure you've got the groundwork done. Don't just call or bring any auction forward unless you know you've got qualified buyers and your vendor is positioned. If you haven't got those ducks in a row, don't do it, because you don't want to bring a campaign forward, because then you're jeopardising a whole campaign. You don't want to bring it forward and then it's an absolute failure. So there's a lot of steps you've got to do, but like I said, I'm very, very comfortable doing it this way. I find it's actually easier if you sort of get your steps.
So there's an element of, from what Ed was telling me, there's an element of, at the moment, when people do make an offer, they want to be taken very seriously.
Totally.
And if they're not, they move on.
They'll
just, you're not taking me seriously, I'll move on. So things have to happen in a measured manner to make them feel like they are being heard, understood, and either you're in the ballpark or you're not. And they're simply not going to accept it. But generally, if there's a few people in that range, from what you're saying and they're serious, you'll go.
Well, how I probably might not have explained, when I've got an offer, it absolutely, you've got to take that buyer seriously. So it's an offer in writing. It's either at the very top of my range or it's on the top of the range, which
I get it.
The vendor is reserved. Now, once I've got that, of course, it's part of due diligence. You make the buyer aware, even before they submit an offer, that it's part of due diligence that the rest of the file has to be contacted about the offer, etc., etc. How I do that, there is a process. I do that in text messages and numerous follow-ups, so no one feels excluded from negotiation. If after that set time, whether it be 6 hours, 12 hours, I've then got other parties that have come back and said, yes, we'd be like to be part of pre-negotiations. At that point, I then go back to my client. I sound them out about the next strategy for us to move forward.
Yeah.
Once I've got the approval for them, I then go back to the buyer that initiated the offer,
Yeah.
speak with them, again, taking them down the path of full transparency. I'm sure, and yeah, just different dialogue I use along those lines. Once I've got my vendor, the buyer that initiated the offer in play, then I open up the window and discuss with the other buyers, this is the way it's going to take shape. And to date, I think I've done 5 this year, 5, 6. A lot of you know I'm counting yesterday. I haven't had anyone push back.
Yeah.
The vendors have been great. In fact, we've got one vendor, Russ and I did a Zoom auction for them. They actually rang Russ from down the peninsula, wanting to do the same for them
Yeah, right.
there, because they really just loved the way it worked. So it's worked well, but I wouldn't do it unless you had all your ducks
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
in a row.
Yeah. So, okay. So, you were saying a lot of your auctions are sold prior this year.
Yeah, more so than any other year.
Yeah. So it's interesting how everything's just moving
Dynamic
so much quicker.
changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it can happen is the thing. Like we used to, no, we haven't got contracts. We used to get them 3 days before.
Exactly.
So I was saying to Ed, it feels very Sydney where everything's ready when it hits the market.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. And fair enough. Anything else that you've changed in the last month in the way that you're dealing with things?
Well, aside from I found for me really hanging on to the buyers.
Yeah.
Like really hanging on to them.
Yeah.
Because good qualified buyers is still like we were just speaking about. You know, you've really got to hang on to them and treat them as though their offer or any questions they have. And look, we all roll our eyes. I do it all the time. But at the very end of the day, you know, we do this all the time. They don't.
Yeah.
So it's just you've got to have patience, but at the same time, you've really got to say, guys, enough's enough. You know, we're either moving forward or we're not.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where you're at. It's just not going to do it.
Yeah. So
That's the one. Now, all of these properties that are hitting the market and the sales that are happening, whether they're high prices or normal prices, is it dragging out a lot of listing opportunities at the moment? Talking to a lot of potentials for next year?
I'm talking to Lottie and I've got already, what do I say, 5?
Right.
5 for next year. And working another couple. But for me, it feels a little bit light in the ground. And I don't like making excuses because, like yourself, worked in so many different markets that you just roll with it.
Oh, it's just the
You know, I don't overthink
press
it anymore.
hurdles you hit on a weekly basis. It's like dying and it's...
Yeah, and then, you know, sometimes I've heard people say to me, oh, Jewel, how's it going? I'm going, I'm fine. I'm still eating.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, you know, you're here. And it's just, you plan. I think I've said this before over time. When you have got the good times and you know, the comms are rolling, make sure you've got something put away.
Yeah.
Because there are going to be, for all of us, it doesn't matter how good you are, all of us are going to go through a patch where it's like, gee, you know. But if you've got money on those good times behind you, you will just swim through it.
Yeah, and so, well, you've got to remove yourself from the market and just be the person that can facilitate sales.
Yeah,
It's pretty,
that's it.
pretty
And I think
straightforward.
if people know you're under stress because you've got to get that money,
Yeah,
it reflects, it translates.
just won't work. And
Yeah, just translates.
we know that
So,
doesn't work.
yeah, so just go with it.
Well, congratulations again,
Thank you.
and thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And
Yeah, and we'll see you before Christmas.
Yep.
So, or we'll see you at the Christmas party.
yep, certainly will.
Bye.
See ya.
Welcome to Mercedes-Benz Toorak. Here at the Home of Luxury, our friendly and knowledgeable team are here to showcase and demonstrate to you the Mercedes-Benz of your dreams. With a remarkable range of demonstrator vehicles here on site in Toorak, why would you choose to buy your next Mercedes-Benz anywhere else? Bookings are essential to secure your VIP test drive experience this weekend, so reach out now. We look forward to welcoming you to Mercedes-Benz Toorak, the Home of Luxury.